Man, this is a true test of like convictions behind the rookie supermodel because Ashton Jeanty does grade at a 91 and Bijan Robinson's an 89. So like they're really close, like in the model. But like if we just look across the board real quick, production rating for Ashton Jeanty 93. Everything in the supermodel is a scale of 50 to 100. We had an 85 for Bijan Robinson, so beat him there. Film rating, which is based on grades from Lance Zierlein as well as career rushing and receiving grades from PFF, which we weight, is a 100 for Jeanty. On a scale of 50 to 100, it's a 100. It was a 92 for Bijan. So again, still really good. And then if we look at the speed score, Ashton Jeanty didn't run. So I had to give him a replacement speed, which kind of makes that one an unfair comparison. But obviously Bijan wins that one because he did run the 40 times. So here's the big question, right? How willing are you to lean into the model? Because comps similar to Ashton Jeanty, 100% of them in. All of them within their first 3 seasons put up a top 6 fantasy finish. So we feel really good, but there could still always be an outlier. And I will say this, with Bijan, we have already seen it. We have already seen Bijan make the transition from college to the NFL. In our show sheet, I did list Ashton Jeanty as the top guy. However, I would say this. I think there's really sound logic in saying that it should be Bijan just because he has actually proven it in the NFL. Jeanty still has to do it. Even though we feel great about all of his comps, like there's always that chance that we hit an outlier situation where it doesn't work out for Jeanty.
And that really is kind of the crux of this debate, okay? Like, we understand Jeanty, one of the best RB prospects out there. Real life analysts are going to tell you that. Fantasy guys like Dwain and I are going to say the same thing. But with Bijan, we've seen it. We've seen it proven at the NFL level. And let's face it, Dwain, not every single first-round running back, not every single highly lauded, quote-unquote, generational running back ends up being all that great. We've always pointed to the fact that, yeah, Jeanty just rushed for the second most yards in a single season of any collegiate running back not named Barry Sanders. How could he bust? Well, you know, the 2 guys that are underneath Jeanty in terms of that, Melvin Gordon and Kevin Smith. So not saying they weren't great in college, not saying they didn't have some good NFL success as well, particularly Melvin Gordon during some of his first years. But I do think if Ashton Jeanty ended up having more of a Melvin Gordon sort of NFL career, we'd be sitting there calling that a disappointment. So again, really does just come down to, especially in Dynasty land, like if you're in a Dynasty startup right now, Dwain, still leaning with Jeanty because we do know with Bijan that he's a dog. He's got an offense willing to give him 365 touches. I mean, we could be sitting here in week 10 going, man, this Raiders team sucks.
Yeah, we definitely could. But we could be saying that about the Falcons as well. I feel pretty good about overall about their offensive weapons. But like, if you had to say to get today, like the player that's guaranteed to at least be decent at quarterback is Geno Smith versus Michael Penix. I think the answer is Geno. Now, if you ask me the question of who's got the highest ceiling over the next 3 years, we probably lean to Penix, right? We're going to lean more to the unknown of saying, okay, we know what Geno is, but maybe Penix can turn into this, guy that have this higher ceiling. So I think, it's a really tough one to slice and dice. We obviously do have Bijan Robinson ahead of Ashton Jeanty in the ranks for this year. I am going to slightly lean to Ashton Jeanty, though. If I was in a startup dynasty draft today, I would take him over Bijan Robinson. Notice the tone of my voice there and the anxiety. It's filled with anxiety. The bottom line is Ashton Jeanty and Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs are all awesome. They're all in the same tier, and we love them all.
Speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, he is again coming in RB3 in this theoretical exercise here, again, combining all the running backs from the last 3 drafts into one looking ahead. That says, Dwain did mention he is firmly in that same tier as Bijan and obviously Ashton Jeanty. So that really is the case with Jahmyr Gibbs, Dwain. I guess the question I would say with Gibbs is, do we think at this point in time, considering the youth, considering what we've seen from him just on a per touch basis, is Jahmyr Gibbs the best running back in the NFL? Because if he is, maybe we shouldn't worry about David Montgomery stealing, a couple hundred carries away, because he did that last year. And Gibbs still finished as the overall RB1. So for your money's worth in the year 2025, Jahmyr Gibbs, I love using this. Aliens invade the planet. We got to start someone at RB1. Is it Jahmyr Gibbs for you?
Yes. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, if he were able to, handle 275 rushing attempts and then be the full-time receiver and all those things worked out. Basically, if he was handed the role we're expecting for Jeanty and the role that Bijan Robinson already has, he would be in a tier by himself as the running back 1. Like, he's just that electric. Now, you would expect him to lose some of that efficiency because the larger the workload you handle, we do see some of that deteriorate. But we've had guys in the past. Alvin Kamara is a great example where everybody expected this dramatic fall off once that occurred for him and he got that full-time role. And that didn't really happen until he started to get older. So I really do believe Jahmyr Gibbs is in that same vein as a CMC, same vein as what we have with an Alvin Kamara. So I would put him at the top of the list. I do think Dave Montgomery is good enough right now that we have to put him below Bijan. We have to put him below Jeanty. Yeah. But if he were to ever take over that full-time, that backfield full-time, I do think he would catapult to running back one from a talent perspective.
It is interesting to me, and I know they increased the touches, so maybe this, is a moot point of sorts, but when we did see Gibbs, really take over and emerge as the RB1 down the stretch in Fantasyland last season, he wasn't getting that 90% plus, snap rate that we actually see a lot of times, these players get. And like the Chase Browns of the world, you know what I'm saying, where they all of a sudden are able to just be on the field for every single snap. Last 4 games of the year for Gibbs, 69% snaps, 52%, 66%, 75%. Isn't it crazy that, again, Gibbs, who took over the fantasy playoffs, was the RB1 during that stretch, still might have left some meat on the bone, man? God forbid we ever left this guy in the field and just every down and said, F it, let's see what happens. Really is wild what this guy has done during the first 2 years of his career.
Yeah. Look, I don't have anything to add. Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome. And would it surprise me if he's the running back one in all of fantasy this year and they reduce the splits between him and Montgomery? No, it wouldn't, which is why I think we have this tier. And it's Jeanty, it's Bijan, and it's Jahmyr Gibbs. And I honestly don't think you can just sit here and say that it has to be any one of them. The answer is yes to all of them. And it's really your choice. They are all 3 really good players.
I do have a fun list before we go ahead and move on to tier 2 over here. Basically, this is your list of running backs to average at least 5 yards per carry during the first 2 seasons of their career with a minimum of 300 carries. Sorry, Jamal Charles was not personal, but here's the list. Devon Achane, Clinton Portis, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chris Johnson, Jonathan Taylor, Frank Gore, Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, Maurice Jones-Drew, Alvin Kamara, Eric Dickerson, Nick Chubb, James Cook, and he who should not be named, Ray Rice. Literally not one bust on that entire group, and maybe a little bit of love for Mr. James Cook as well. Although he does not qualify for this study, Mr. Achane does though. So plenty of thoughts ahead on the Dolphin speedster who can also catch a lot of passes out there right after a quick word from our friends over at Bud Light.
Check out the new whip.
Tight.
Fully custom.
How many Bud Lights can you fit in that puppy?
As many Bud Lights as it takes.
It's a lot of Bud Lights. I'm going to have to give me one of those.